Okay, so here's the question. What is photography? What does the word literally mean? Well, it actually means writing with light. So this photography is really about storytelling. We're going to tell stories, we're going to capture stories, but instead of write them down on a piece of paper, we're going to capture them on film or on the little sensors in our computer or on our cameras, and we're going to basically tell a story. Every photograph is a story. Every photograph you take has to tell a story. You have to have a subject. There has to be something in the photograph that is meaningful to the people you want to see it. So if you're going to take a picture of a flower, the subject is going to be the flower, but it could also be the bug on the flower, or it could be a really, really close up photograph of the inside of the flower. There's some amazing work out there done by, photographers that capture some beautiful foliage and things like that. So who are we as photographers? Well, we're storytellers. We kind of established that. We tell a story, but we use light to tell that story. I'm a photojournalist by training, so I have covered everything from bad accidents to vice presidential candidates to antelope in Wyoming, for the newspaper. And so every photograph I shoot has to have a subject. It has to have something that motivates people to want to look at the photograph. So we are storytellers. We're historians. We capture slices of life at 1/25th of a second. We catch a very thin slice of life. Um, we will talk in time about the history of photography and how we can go back and look at some of the old photographs that were shot. Photography's been around since the late 1800s, so we'll talk about what photographers have been prominent in our lives in the last 125 years. Now I will tell you a little bit about some of my favorite photographers, and I'm going to ask you guys to go out and explore on the web some photographers that you might really like. The nice thing is that we need to create original images, but we can also study the images of other photographers and sort of try and see if we can't figure out how they captured those images and if maybe we can do it better. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. We are also reporters. Again, it's about storytelling. Some of you might be your club photographer. So as a club photographer, your job is to capture the day-to-day activities of your club. Now, realizing with the COVID virus, it's going to be a little difficult to do that. I'm sure at some point this will all end and we can go back to our meetings and things like that. But just remember that you're reporters. Your family events, take pictures at family events. It could be anything from just sitting down at the dining room table for a meal, or perhaps your family plays games or something to occupy the time while we're all, staying at home to be healthy and safe. But those are things that you'll report, things that you can tell others about, things that will show, maybe not today, but 75 years from now, your grandchildren will look at those photographs and say, oh man, look, that's my family from 75 years ago. So you're going to report to them, you're going to tell them a little bit about what your family life is like. Okay, so where to take photos. We talked about where to take photos, and sincerely believe that you can take them from your own backyard. Okay. Just get out and explore your backyard. Look around, see what you can find, see what you can see. Look for the knothole in the fence. Look for, maybe the way the grass is blowing. We'll talk more about capturing motion in a photograph. Maybe it's going to be the way the light shines on your kid brother or sister or your mom and dad, or maybe it's your grandfather's hands, or something like that. Just look around in your own backyard. There's plenty of opportunity there. Okay, so that gets down to the why do we take photographs? Well, my response to that is why not? You know, my sincere hope is that you all pursue photography, maybe not as a career, but as you get as a serious hobby. Because, you know, let's face it, you're going to be taking photographs all your life. You're going to be taking, you know, celebration photographs, you know, you're going to take family pictures, things like that. And the truth is, you have a camera. If you have a cell phone, you have a camera. And cell phones are pretty sophisticated now. So you can shoot, I mean, I'll admit probably 90% of my work is done on my cell phone because it's convenient. I always have it with me. I have a nice Canon 50D that's probably 12 years old now and a nice set of lenses. I have a very nice flash that I very seldom use. But at the moment, I like the idea of taking pictures on a cell phone. You have to know your cell phone, though. Okay, if you're going to use your cell phone, and that's perfectly fine with me, you have to get to know your cell phone. When I helped with the county fair when was it, July or August, I ended up helping judge. And after we were done, I was talking to the judges, and there was some discussion about concern about cell phone shots. And I said, you know, there's an old adage that says the best camera you have is the one you have with you. And if you have a cell phone and that's what you want to use, you should use it. And so I kind of questioned the judges about, so what is the issue with cell phones? I mean, you know, my cell phone is actually has a bigger sensor than my big camera. And you know, cell phones are pretty advanced now. And I said, so what's the problem with cell phones? And they said, well, you know, you take a zoom picture and it doesn't look very good. Well, that's true. Okay, so the solution to that is don't zoom out. Don't take a zoom picture. So we're going to explore, a big part of this is exploring cell phone photography. There's a lot of folks that are using it. There's some videos and movies that have been shot on cell phone. Jim Richardson, I don't know if you know Jim, but he is National Geographic photographer. He lives in Lindsborg, has a studio down there. When all this is over, you should go visit. His work is incredible. But as I recall, he has done a lot of work strictly on his cell phone. I believe it was Jim. So, but that doesn't mean you can't. If you have a nicer camera that you want to use, I guess nicer is probably the wrong term. But if you have a big camera that you want to use, feel free to go ahead, because we're going to talk a little bit about how cameras work, how cell phones work. What I'd love to do is get a field trip together, but again, right now we're kind of on hold with that. So, I'm going to send Sarah, or somehow we will get you information on the Instagram account, and I will send you a list of links of photographers that you might want to look at. Some of you're really going to enjoy. My favorite at the moment is a man named Michael Kenna, Kenna, and he lives in Seattle now. I think he's from Great Britain originally. He's done some remarkable work in Japan, and they're very simplistic. Trees in the snow. Honestly, they're beautiful work, but you know what? You guys could do the same thing, and they're that simple. So don't, just because they're a big-time photographer doesn't mean their work will never be, you'll never live up to their style of work, because I think you can. It's just finding your own style that matters the most. So anyhow, I'll get a hold of Sarah. I'll talk to Sarah. I'm not sure. There's a meeting today. I'm going to try to make it, but working for the school district, we are still working, and so we get called into work or called into conferences, sometimes unexpectedly. But I'm going to try to make that meeting with you guys. So anyhow, again, if you have any questions, you can reach me. My email address is, I think, with the extension office. I can give it to you real quick. It's tmcgrady@gmail.com, and it's TMEGRADY @gmail.com. If you want to text me or call me, I have no problem with that. My phone number is 620-366-3160. Okay, so the last thing I want to mention is that I do have a assignment. It's not really an assignment, but it's an idea of how to shoot photographs in your own backyard. And it's put together, if I remember right, by a photo tutorial site. But it gives you some ideas of things that you could practice with photography while we're waiting to get through this virus stuff. And there will be more information about things such as that. So that too, I will send to Sarah and ask her to post it where you all can reach it. But again, if you have any questions, you feel free to give me a call or send me a text. I do believe I have your email addresses, and I'll reach out to you that way just to let you know that, give you better details on my contact information and things like that. Anyhow, that's really about it. I don't have anything else to talk about at the moment, although we'll have plenty to talk about later. Again, I love photography. I love talking about photography. So, we're going to spend a lot of time with this. So anyhow, let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you later. Thank you.